we're all set then for the Senior Manx Grand Prix, 37 3/4 miles. Obviously, it's a reduced race distance, but it is still going to be an awesome, epic duel nonetheless. But first away then, Dan Ingham at number 1. This is it, away they go, that infamous tap on the shoulder cam.
Oh, there's nothing quite like it, but Daniel Ingham knows the drill. He was first on road in the senior last year. He was on the podium last year. He's taken second and third in this race in the last 2 years. Can he go one better this year?
Well, Maurizio Bottolico will be going all out as Dan Ingham is going all out down Bray Hill for the first time. And as I was saying, Bottolico will be going all out to make sure that Dan Ingham doesn't get that win.
Bottolico already on the podium in the junior.
Here is Ingham, nice and neat, around Quarter Bridge. Next away, number 5, Chris Cook.
Yeah, Chris Cook, Scottish rider aboard the 600cc Kawasaki. Of course, the senior Manx Grand Prix is super sport rules.
So, this is Mylchreests going at number 6.
What a well-presented machine, bikes and leathers on point.
Get a clear picture, of course, once they get to Glen Helen, 9 miles from the start. This is Dan Ingham through Union Mills. We saw him get excellent speed out of Quarter Bridge to really attack this section.
Yeah, Dan's one of the few riders in the 120 plus mile per hour club in this race. So he's got the experience. He's on board a new bike, a new R6 this year. Can it all come together and see him win his first Manx?
The trouble for him, though, is that it's a very strong field of riders as we watch Damien Horan coming out of Quarter Bridge. Maurizio Bottolico providing the pictures as he makes his way out towards the west of the island.
Yeah, talking to Maurizio before the start of this race, he was super focused and pumped.
Coming into Greba Castle.
Bike doesn't sound quite right to me, Dave.
Oh, and he's got his hand up as well.
Oh no, that'd be heartbreaking after finishing on the podium in the junior. As I said, he was so focused for this race, he was really up for it.
Pulls in at Greba Bridge, Maurizio Bottolico, and it looks permanent, that one. Glen Helen then, Dan Ingham. So he puts down the first sector time.
I must say, Dan, he always looks super smooth, whatever bike he's riding. As he makes his way up here past Sarah's cottage. See still plenty of damp patches on the road for these riders to contend with.
Oh, they were warned. There was a long list before the start of this race of damp patches all the way around the 37 3/4. So into Glen Helen comes Chris Cook.
Chris negotiating those wet puddles.
Now then, this is Dan Sale. We wondered whether he would make it. He was due to go at number 9. He retired. Well, he retired in the earlier race, Cam, and he's had to make his way back. So they're letting him go from the end of the pack, the end of the field. So drama here for Dan Sale, but he's made it just in time. He's that with seconds to spare. Incredible. As through into, it's Sam Johnson coming through and already having caught up with Mylchreests through Glen Helen.
And this is far from ideal for Dan, but at the end of the day, he's made the start, and he's made the start, so there's hope for the race, because regardless of the traffic he's going to have to encounter, it is still him against the clock.
Yeah, so Dan Sale, well done. He's made it with seconds to spare. Got to lift back to make it to the start of this race. He'll have a lot of traffic to contend with. And here is Damien Horan coming through.
Oh, nice wide line there through dust on the edge of the road, but round the outside of the water patches, so it's working for him.
Dan Forbes just coming through Crosby.
Suzuki mounted. He makes his way up towards Crosby Leap. This is a section where you really grit your teeth, no matter how many times you've gone over this high-speed line crest in top gear.
It's Dan Ingham who leads this race, 5 seconds from Johnson Cook in 3rd place. Dan Sale, though, a long way down the road.
He's already making his way through, and I'm sure that will not be the last rider he passes. He'll be coming up to traffic that he's lapping much faster than. But he's an experienced competitor. He'll know how to work his way through.
Well, Dan Ingham continues to lead, and he continues to increase. It's 11.2 seconds at Ballaugh Bridge over Cook, who's now second ahead of Johnson, just a couple of seconds between them. But we are riding with the race leader coming in out of Schoolhouse to Parliament Square.
Chris Cook through the bottom of Bagarrow. Whoa! The Kawasaki shakes its head as he works his way down through Milltown. Listen to that bike, how. Whoop, there you go, Dan Sale again. He's passing riders there. Rider with a bib on. That's obviously a newcomer.
Yeah, I think that's Liam Thornton.
Yeah, he'll be wondering where Dan Sale's come from. Past Black Dub.
So number 7, Sam Johnson. He was in second place at Glen Helen, has dropped to third at Balaf. Now with Julien Craignot, the French rider, coming through Kurt Michael. This is some experience, especially with 2 bikes ahead of you.
This is not where you want to encounter traffic. This is one section of the course that is absolutely single line as you thread the needle curb to curb to curb to make your way through there. On a Shockaroo Irish rider, listen to that 675 Triumph triple house.
Beautiful noises around this beautiful island. Julien Craignot again providing the pictures.
He's struggling to get past these riders ahead. Hard under brakes.
Yeah.
Black Bridge up the inside. Got to wash off that speed because you're about to centre to orbit.
Yeah, he did him there. I mean, that's doing them on the brakes, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly is. It's absolutely spot on place to pass someone holding you up.
Worry about being held up. Dan Sale, although he's going through them like the proverbial knife through hot butter.
He may have started last on road, Dave, but he's already up to an impressive 11th position by Balaf Bridge.
And here is Dan Ingham, and this is impressive. He goes into the gooseneck. What a view that is.
Not easy to lead on road, not easy to be first away in these testing conditions where we know there's damp patches, but Dan Ingham is handling it brilliantly.
Handling his way brilliantly through Milltown. That's Michael Garn.
Listen to that, Dave. It's music to the ears.
It is. However, what isn't music to the ears of Cook is that he's 15.2 seconds down on Ramsey. He's lost 4 seconds from the run from Balaf Bridge to Ramsey on Dan Ingham.
Chris Cook, he's improving each year. He was 6th in this senior in 2022, 5th last year in 2023. So he's improving, but probably not enough to match this man, Dan Ingham, because he is certainly the man to beat at the moment.
You're right, Cam. You are so right. Dan is just being quicker on every sector so far through this. Back with Julien Craignot. This is into Solby, the straight, the fastest part of this 37 3/4 miles, and he just goes through straight line speed.
Yep, and using that slipstream, absolutely tapped to the mat in top gear there for quite a long time.
But Dan Ingham then coming down from Cates to the Craig. The Senior Manx Grand Prix, 2 laps the race distance, and here is the man leading at the end of lap 1. Dan Ingham crosses the line.
This is the one, this is a Senior Manx. Will this be where we see our next TT stars coming from? It's a who's who, and the list of previous Manx winners have all stepped up and done brilliantly at the TT. None other than last year's Senior Manx winger, Joe Yeardsley.
Stephen Smith the year before that. You go back to Nathan Harrison back in 2019. Across the line now, though, still on for a podium at the moment is Cook. Meanwhile, Ingham out of Quarter Bridge.
2-lap dash this one, so no pit stop, no refuel, no visor change. Just full focus for that 2 laps.
But Sam Johnson still also in the chance, or in with a chance, I should say, of a podium finish in this race.
Once again, these riders now, they've done 1 lap, so they know the conditions, they know the course. And you can expect the sector speeds to just be that little bit quicker on a flying lap, Dave.
Dan Ingham out of Ballagary. Heading out, the sunshine not there that we saw earlier.
May not be sunny, but at least it's dry.
It's very true. Well, not all the way around maybe, but certainly the majority of the track is dry. We still have those damp patches that they've all been warned about. Wow.
How good does that sound?
So here is Dan Ingham continuing to stretch that lead. Leading at the end of lap 1, and that's another fast sector. It's Dan Ingham's race to lose as Julien Craignot comes through Bedstead.
Really impressive ride from Julian. The rider up ahead glances back, just gives him a little bit of room as he winds his way down into, without doubt, one of the slipperiest parts of the circuit.
Yeah, and you don't want to overrun there either, do you, Cam?
No,
we won't talk about that. Okay, Dan Ingham, through Hanleys he goes.
Wow, what an awesome part of course there. I always say you're threading the needle through that section, really from the hedge to the stone wall, down on through McGuinness's, into the top of Big Arrow.
Here is Sam Johnson, as you can see, he was in a solid third place at the end of lap 1. Oh, still plenty of water being kicked up.
Daniel Forbes aboard the Suzuki as he heads on down through Gorse Lee, 5th gear through here, right out to the edge of the course. Super commitment.
Back at Glen Helen.
Mylchreests, see the riders just keeping the bike a little more upright there. They're not committing to that lean angle that they generally would through that part of the course when it is dry.
Julian Craignio, maybe, perhaps, had he not had those couple of riders to contend with as he comes out of Ballacrane, maybe might have been closer to the top 3 than he is at the moment as Michael Garm goes through at Glen Helen. So Dan Ingham continues to lead. 23.1 seconds at the end of lap 1, 25 seconds at Glen Helen over Cook, who was 11 seconds ahead of Johnson. Here's Dan Sale, though, still making his way up through the riders.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether Dan Ingham is getting pit boards or lap signals, whether he'll consolidate that lead and back off a little bit.
Not backing off is Chris Cook. He goes through Milltown down towards Schoolhouse. But here is Dan Ingham.
And this will give us a good idea of the conditions. We come out of Ramsey Hairpin up under this section that always holds the damp. Yellow flag there just warning riders that there is a major lack of adhesion ahead.
Here is Sam Johnson still hanging on, if that's the right phrase, to 3rd place. So the gooseneck, the climb up the mountain.
Right about now, Dan will be talking to that bike. He'll know that his first Manx Grand Prix is just a little under half a lap of the course to go as he comes up over this mountain section. Will he let himself get excited at the prospect of the win, or will he just draw his focus back on the next turn ahead?
And Michael Garm still trying to fight his way towards the podium. It's a little bit tighter for 3rd place, it has to be said. So here's Cook into the gooseneck, I should say. But Chris Cook on his way now, also climbing. As I said, he's just not had the same speed as Ingham throughout. But Chris Cook, it will be a very good 2nd place if he can stay in that position. But here is Dan Ingham around the crag. Meanwhile, back at the gooseneck, Julien Craignio, the French rider. Can he push on and maybe snatch a podium position at the end of this race?
Yeah, well, it certainly is a good battle here for the minor placings, and these riders, whether they're aware of that or not, they'll all be just pushing as hard as they can. They know this is only a 2-lap race. They know there's absolutely not a second to spare.
He crosses the line now. Dan Ingham wins the Senior Manx Grand Prix. What a ride. Couldn't be bettered in any of the sectors.
What a fantastic, well-earned win for the 31-year-old British rider.
This is how the Senior Manx Grand Prix finishes. Julien Craignio takes 4th place ahead of Garn and Stewart. Sam Johnson 3rd, Chris Cook 2nd, but Dan Ingham, the Senior Manx Grand Prix winner.